Yo, what is up guys? Nick Nakai here, Let's Drift Media. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If you're first time here, please hit that subscribe button down below. I know I said this was gonna be the last video when I left BMW in front of this toolbox, but haven't brought the toolbox up to Toyota yet, so I figured I'd do one last video for you guys about tools I used as a BMW technician. So if you guys have been with the channel for a while, you probably saw my last video, tools I used as a Toyota flat rate technician. Those will kind of be like an add-on to that. I'm not going to really explain all the tools I have because a lot of those tools I already told you guys about in the first video, so I'll go ahead and leave that link in the description below. But on today's video, I'm going to explain some of the new different tools that I picked up that I really used at BMW a lot and I really recommend. So there's a common misconception. A lot of people, or at least from what I was told when I was leaving Toyota, they were saying like, you're going to need to buy all these new tools, like you're going to need special tools, all kinds of bullshit. And really, it's not true as much as people say. There's really not that many more tools that you need to work at a BMW dealership. I did buy a handful of more tools, but for the most part, I had pretty much everything already that I was using at Toyota. So I just want to make this video to kind of show you guys some different tools that I would recommend and tools that I actually use like very regularly on a daily basis. So let's get started, guys. Alright guys, so we're going to try this top camera angle out again. So one thing to point out, when I was at BMW, I really worked out of a roll cart. So I really didn't go to the toolbox that much, but I don't have the roll cart at home, so I just kind of have everything set up like the Toyota style. So let's get started on things I actually used at BMW. First off, we'll start with these little short sockets. This came in a set. We got the 27, 32, and 36. These two sockets, 27 and 32, you will use a lot. Pretty much most, like 90% of BMW's oil filters are the plastic housing ones, and these work really nicely. Put a 3/8 swivel on there, and you can crack open those oil filters. This big boy, 36, didn't really use too much, like unless you're working on like E46 and old vehicles. So, but it came in the set, so I really recommend this set. I'll try and drop the link to the part number in the description below. Ratchets, of course, still using my 3/8 rubber grip and the little longer version. These I picked up when I was at BMW. We got the 1/4" bodies. One has the 1/4" drive, the other has the 3/8 drive. So these are really nice when you're like getting into tight spaces, because a lot of times on BMW you don't have as much room. So having 1/4" really helps out a lot, but this 3/8 body 1/4" or 3/8 drive 1/4" body really helped out when there wasn't enough room to get the 3/8 socket on, but you still needed to use a 3/8 socket, so you didn't have the 1/4" version. So definitely I would recommend these 1/4" drives. Now over here we have a set of Snap-on 1/4" extensions. These are really cool because they're like kind of like hybrid sets. They're like Wobble and just solid extension. So you can see you can put the socket on just a little bit and it acts as a wobble, but then you push it all the way on and then it's just standard extension. So I didn't have any 1/4" extensions really. Well, I did have a Harbor Freight set, but they weren't really working too good. The ball in there was starting to just get loose, so the sockets were just falling off. So I just bought the Snap-on one because I got suckered into the truck and he was right there. But this 1/4" extension set really helped out a lot, and I definitely use this set a lot. Another thing I would add is the Torx sockets. Now this set is E4 through E18, and this is pretty much all you're going to need at BMW. There's a lot of ones in between that you'll never really use. As you can kind of tell, some are super dirty and some are pretty much clean, like I never touched them. But like most socket sets, you're only going to use so many, but it's still nice to have the whole set. Now coming over here, when I was in the dealership, I would always keep this little socket tray on the service cart that I was using, even at Toyota, because there's like a lot of sockets that you really go to so often. So these are pretty much the main sockets that I would use, and that's consisting of a 10, 11, 13, 16, 17, and 18. Same with the wobble sockets, because they just come in handy a lot of times. And then the T30, very common on BMWs. So this was kind of like my go-to set. I would have this and my ratchets and a couple extensions and the wrenches that I really used in the top, and just kind of go from there since I used them so often. So really recommend a nice little socket tray unless you're the type of guy who just likes going into his toolbox every time you do a job and getting what you need, but everyone's different. On this socket rail, I really would use this a lot as well as my 3/8 rail, but since I said you're going to use a lot of 1/4 inch, for 1/4 inch I was running the 6, 8, 10, and 11 for just the short sockets, which I really didn't use too much, but sometimes I would keep them there. Same with the wobble sockets. Every now and then you would run into a tight spot, have to get the 1/4 inch. And then I have these two 1/4 inch wobble E-Torx sockets, an E8 and an E10 on its own wobble socket. These came in handy a lot, especially on like oil filter housings. One of the bolts is like located kind of underneath the intake manifold, so the 3/8 doesn't really fit in there that well. So really recommend the 1/4 inch E10. And same when you're doing valve covers, it's just nice to have the smaller socket, especially when you're in tight clearances. 1/4 inch wobble socket or wobble extension, whatever you call it. This I used a lot actually, pretty much every day. That's why it's on this rail. 1/4 inch Torx sockets, we have T20, T25, T27, and T30. It wasn't recently till I got this T30 1/4 inch because I would always use the 3/8 1/4 inch version, but having it 1/4 inch, like I said, really helps on some vehicles. It's just a really tight space, but for the most part, these are like the very common Torx sockets that you're going to be using, so that's why I have them on this rail. But yeah, for sure, my go-to were these two rails and my Ratchet, along with my 3/8 impact gun, and really just used them like every single day. I can't stress enough. Pretty much covered the sockets. Again, same with the 1/2 inch. You're really not going to use anything but like a 16, an 18, and sometimes a 21. So the rest of them are kind of useless, but I mean, I have the whole set, so, you know. So, alright, so wrenches over here. This wrench is a Toyota wrench. I don't really use that. It's a 14 and a 12. We got the 16, 18 gear wrench, as well as a 21 and a 24. These were basically like when I went to go do alignments, these were the go-to wrenches. They're nice and long, gives you a lot of leverage, and these sizes should cover like majority of control arm bolt sizes that you're going to have to deal with when doing alignments on BMWs. So that was really nice and helpful. No! 1/2 inch drive ratchet. This is the Harbor Freight one. I really didn't use this too much, besides when doing oil filter changes. So I just have this 1 1/16 socket, which isn't really the right one for this, but I mean it fit. So this was kind of just the go-to anytime I did an oil change. Put the special cup on there, crack it loose, and called it a day. So yeah guys, really not that much 1/2 inch. I feel like at BMW it's definitely 1/4 inch is a lot more key. When I was at Toyota, I didn't even really have 1/4 inch sockets at all, so anything 1/4 inch now is I bought working at BMW. In the back we got the 1/2 inch electric torque wrench. Pretty much just use this for wheels or when doing like cylinder heads, of course, or any type of engine work, but I really didn't do too much of that at BMW. A lot of just replace. But when I did do cylinder heads or something, I would use the 1/2 inch torque wrench. 3/8 torque wrench, very useful. Pretty much, yeah, you guys get the point. You'll be using this fairly often. I did buy this torque wrench though, however, before I saw the Icon come out with their torque wrench. So I know I talk a lot about Icon and I did that whole video on Icon, but yeah, my box is full of Snap-on. What the hell, Nick Nakai? But it is what it is. A lot of the stuff I have had for a while too, and it just happened to be Snap-on because that's what I get suckered into. So Snap-on and Mac is pretty much majority what I have here, and a mix of Harbor Freight as well. But mainly it kind of comes down to now, like if I lose or break a Snap-on, then I'll just go get a Harbor Freight and go from there, just because it's a lot cheaper and I'm not really trying to spend as much money on tools now. So wrenches over here, we have just the same set, the 8 through 19. I kind of just kept those in there, whatever ones I did use, didn't use. But down here were the wrenches that I actually used a lot. So it would be consisting of 18, 17, 16, 14, 13, 11, 10, and 8. So those are pretty much the sizes you're going to be running into with BMW. So it's kind of like how Toyota, they got the 10, 12, 14, 17, 19. With BMW, it's just a little bit different. So just something you get used to though. And another handy tool I recommend is this E10 and E12 Torx gear wrench, or E-Torx. This thing comes in super handy when you're doing oil filter housings or a lot of gravy. When you can't fit the socket in there and the bolt's just too close to something else, these are really nice. Just stick your hand in there and crack them loose or do whatever you gotta do. So I think that sums it up for the top drawer with wrenches and sockets and stuff I think you should use. There is still the Torx, which I'll get to in a little bit because that's in another drawer, but yeah. It's a little bit hard too to explain because I'm kind of used to having it in my cart and now it's all just spread out. So I'm trying the best I can to show you guys the BMW specific tools. So next drawer, we got the plier drawers. I kind of just threw all my pliers and screwdrivers in here. Pry bars, of course, definitely a must, very helpful. But I mean, like I said, the same plier set I had from Toyota did the job for a lot of things. I would use these hose pinch pliers to cut off coolant lines, just not cut them off, but to pinch them so I wouldn't leak coolant everywhere. Crescent wrenches, of course, same like at Toyota. These CV axle boots, every now and then you will rebuild CV axles at BMW, so same boot style usually, so these two pincher ones did the job just fine. Going over here, we still have the screwdrivers, panel poppers, more pry bars and stuff like that. Like I said, a lot of the same stuff. I really didn't buy more pliers. The only thing I think I would add from the last video would be this little set from Snap-on. I bought this set because I saw one of my mentors, Virgil, using it and a lot of other people, and they really come in handy because there are so many little push clips on BMWs. So these two for sure got used on the daily. I kept these in my service card. This one, the long one, I would use it every now and then, but really there wasn't that too many times where I needed it. And then this little angled pick helped a lot when trying to like fish out wires or just all kinds of like miscellaneous stuff. But that's a nice little set to have. I know it's kind of expensive for this set. I think it's like, I want to say like 150 or 180 something. I don't really recall the price. But if you can get a set like this, at least these two panel poppers, regardless of the brand, for sure a must when working at BMW. And yeah, same pliers. This Harbor Freight screwdriver, use this a lot, kind of almost like a punch sometimes, or even like a pry bar, because it's just pretty reliable. So this would be nice every time, maybe like splitting oil pans or trying to separate the transmission from the engine block, or sometimes trying to wiggle the valve cover up. Just a lot of times this bad boy would come in handy. Coming to our next drawer, I kind of just threw all my Torx sockets and Torx bits, some Allen keys in here, stuff like that. Over here, get the fuck off. We had this dial caliper. We have this dial caliper. This thing you're going to use a lot because a lot of BMW brakes are under warranty, like most BMW jobs you do. So measuring the rotor thickness, see if it's below minimum spec or not. I'm going to be using a lot, so definitely an essential. These Harbor Freight T-handles, kind of would mainly just use these on like doing airbag recalls or something. They have like a little pin inside the air or behind the steering wheel. You have to shove one of these bits in there. It's really nice because it's enough to grab the pin to release the little tab to pull out the airbag. So these have worked just fine because I really only used them for that, or like if my T-Torx sockets were like too fat to fit in the hole, then I would just whip out these little bad boys. So I would recommend these. I really like them because it's something that you're not going to use too often, but when you do need it, it's nice to have. Right here I just have my assortment of Torx and Allen sockets. This socket set right here came with pretty much everything that's right here, as well as E-Torx. So this is really nice, just like a go-to bundle. So if you're coming from, say, Toyota or from scratch and you don't have anything, I would just recommend buying this socket set. I got this one from Mac, but like I said, it comes with all the T-Torx as well as the security T-Torx, which have the little hole inside there. So those are pretty nice. I mean, the only time you're really going to see those security Torx are like maybe like airbags, but it's just nice to have this whole set. Even though I didn't really use all of them since I kind of already had individually bought them, it's nice because it also comes with the Allens, and these are pretty durable. I've had no problems with these. I mean, again, it's like you're only going to use a couple, like maybe like size 5 through 10. And same with the T-Torx, size like T20 through T30, and then skipping up to like maybe T55 or T60. There's always going to be sockets that you don't really need, but I think it's just a good kind of combination set to have everything all in one bang. And that's about it for the Torx drawer. So coming over here to the far right drawer, let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. Sorry, a little mess in this freaking garage right now. But I got the 1/2-inch air gun, definitely a necessity with the 17 for all BMW lug studs. Air blower is pretty nice to have when just trying to blow out crap out of cars and stuff. 1/4-inch drive impact, really use this a lot with this magnetic 8. Definitely recommend a magnetic 8. A lot of skid plates on BMWs, pretty much every car, and majority use 8mm bolts, and there's usually like 15 to 20 screws on there, I mean. So nice to have the magnetic version, just pop them all off, call it a day. Still using the Milwaukee 3/8 impact gun, hasn't let me down. Super strong, highly recommend it. I did upgrade from my air ratchet to this electric 3/8 ratchet. Because I feel like nobody really uses air tools at BMW. Everyone's all electric, so I was like that guy with the loud ass air ratchet and just finally said fuck it, upgraded to this one. I used it a lot. The only thing I didn't like about this Mac one is the battery sticks out kind of far. So like when you have a socket on here, if you're trying to get in somewhere, sometimes the battery would hit. I like the designs where like the battery is like flush with the ratchet itself. But anyways, this one did the job for me just fine. So I got all the batteries back here. Then we got the Dewalt Drill, where you can kind of just put any bits in here. I would kind of just use this as like a screwdriver gun, or a lot of times when doing windshields, this would be my go-to one. Put on that little special tool to pull the rope around the windshield. That's it for that drawer. Next drawer, we have the lights. Lights are a very important thing. Got them with the chargers. This was kind of my go-to flashlight, the snap-on one. It extends to the wand. I've had this one for a while, and my string light, I haven't been using that one. This one I did buy recently, but it's pretty nice. It's got a little magnetic base right here. You kind of just stick it on however. This is Blue Point, so basically snap on, rip off, but this thing is hella bright. It's got 2 settings, the charging icon in the back, let you know how much battery life you got. But this one was really nice when just like under the dash or something, just because you can just set it up kind of like a floodlight. Forget about it. Then I have this wand light. Kind of got the nice little light at the end, as well as the bar. This one's hella bright. It came with a smaller version of this, and I actually left it on a car somewhere, so that really sucks, but it's all good. And then this one, I just bought this one because it goes around your neck, and it's really nice to have because I would used to like gel my hair back in the day, so I didn't want to like run those mine cooler lights that wrap around your forehead. So this one worked out pretty good. It's really nice and bright. You could get like set it up at a bunch of different angles. So I think this one's a good buy. You don't have to buy Snap-on, of course. Different brands make them, but the around the neck lights, I approve. All right, so coming down to another drawer. I guess the only stuff I really used at BMW down here would be like this brake caliper spreader, little piston retractor, whatever you call it. This really helped. This one's really nice because you can split the dual caliper pistons and even the 3 caliper pistons. So this one definitely used a lot when doing brakes. Torque sticks, coolant pressure tester, definitely use this a lot. But you need the adapter for BMWs, which someone else bought at work, so we would kind of just share them together. Oil filter wrenches, those are kind of all Toyota stuff. Axle nut sockets. This is the 30, 32, 34, 36 set. I would use those every now and then, but I guess it's something that's not that essential. Yeah, that's it for that drawer. Right here, I kind of have like the electrical stuff in here. Power probe, I really didn't use that much. Voltmeter, this thing for sure you're going to be using a lot at BMW. You're going to be checking voltage, you're going to be checking continuity between wires. So definitely having a decent voltmeter is something that you should look into investing. Another thing that's really helpful when I was at BMW was these back probing kits, because BMW doesn't want you to front probe connectors and just like split the pins open or the connector female part open. So these are really nice because you could just go behind the connector and like shove it through the back pin, and you wouldn't have to worry about damaging the connector itself, and you could still get a good measurement of whatever you're trying to check. So definitely this nice little kit on Amazon. I'll put the part number right here if anyone wants to look it up. I think it's like 20 bucks or something. Going in the next drawer, kind of just got some more miscellaneous stuff. We actually have a lot of picks in here. Picks are very helpful, I feel like, at BMW. There's a lot of times where you're trying to get a connector off and you just can't like push the tab in, so it's nice to just have a pick, lift the little locking tab and unplug the connector, especially when pretty much doing any job you're gonna have to unplug stuff. These little plastic pry tools are really nice because during interior of BMWs you don't want to be using like a pocket screwdriver and it leaves marks on the plastic of the interior. So these plastic little bits, pry bars, whatever you want to call them, really help me out. I would use these a lot. This one, I don't know where it came from, I found it. This tool, if you are doing windshields, is definitely a must. So many people would come to borrow this tool from me. I actually got it from Virgil, the glove shop, so shout out to him. But this one's a nice scraper tool and gives you a lot of leverage. Just peel off the glue when you're doing the windshields. So really recommend this one if you're going to be doing windshields at BMW or on any car actually. I don't have the part number on this because I don't have the lid. But if you type in like razor blade scraper tool on Google, you'll find like a lot of listings similar to this. And then just here we have our assortment of punches and stuff like that. Not something you really use too often, so I just have like this Harbor Freight set, which worked just fine. Mainly I think I would use these for like staking CV axle nuts, but again, something that you're not going to be doing too much, so yeah. Down in here we have the hammers. Harbor Freight mallet, for sure used it a lot. As you guys can see, this thing's been through hell and still holding up. We have this big Thor hammer, would use it every now and then I guess, and then this little baby Thor hammer. This thing really worked out a lot. I had to buy a new one because somebody jacked me I think before I left BMW, but whatever, it's like $5 at Harbor Freight, but definitely does the trick. Impact screwdriver, really didn't use too much. These little miscellaneous hooks, I would use these a lot when doing brakes or trying to just hold the brake caliper if I had the caliper off, so you don't have to have the caliper hanging by the brake line. So definitely something that's pretty helpful, and these are like a couple bucks at Harbor Freight. You can use these for a lot of other things. Cargo strap, ratchet straps, whatever you want to call them. These things are really nice when you're trying to like hold a control arm out of your way or something, or just kind of hold anything. Like I would use these to hold up drive shafts. I would unwrap this one and pull batteries with it across the shop because I didn't want to carry them. So these definitely come in handy a lot. And again, Harbor Freight for like $5. Tape measure. A lot of BMWs, you have to, after you do software updates, you have to measure the ride height from the wheel to the fender and input it into the computer. So definitely something that I would recommend. I would recommend one in millimeters though, not inches, because with this one I would always have to go on Google and like convert like 20 inches into millimeters, but I mean it works, so I guess it's cool. Air hammer, didn't really use that too much. And down at the bottom we kind of just got random air tools that I didn't really use anymore at BMW. I would use a lot of these at Toyota, but at BMW I guess I went more electric. The only thing in here I would use is of course a tire inflator gauge, definitely a must, setting tire pressure to spec, and a heat gun. You're going to do a lot of wiring repairs and have to fix or have to apply the heat shrink tubing to the wire repair. So this thing's really nice. Instead of using like a little ghetto lighter setup, the thing works really good. And then over here in my last drawer, we just got my stinky ass work boots. Not to see there. This sucker cup is really nice after you do like brake flushes. Just trying to suck up that extra fluid out of the reservoir to have the fluid level correct. I just have my chargers in here and a transfer pump. I would always borrow someone's at work, so I never really got to use this one, but this one's really nice when you're doing like diff fluid exchanges. Just pump the diff fluid in there. And I believe that's it. You guys can see I probably went through like 50% of these drawers. The rest are empty and kind of just have like pens and pencils in them and stuff like that. Stuff that's really not too important. So definitely don't need a box this big when it comes to being a dealership tech, honestly guys. Don't make the same mistake that I did, buying a big ass box. But yeah, I mean, I hope this video wasn't too long. I feel like there's really not that many more tools that I had to invest in to work at BMW. Like I said, key points of this video would just be 1/4 inch, E-Torx, and Torx bits. 1/4 inch ratchets, of course, but besides that, if like you already have your standard tool set that like you're working at, say, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, something like that, you're probably going to have majority of tools that you need. So that basically sums up my tools I recommend as a BMW flat rate technician. Again, this is as a dealership technician working on mainly new cars. We didn't really touch too many older BMWs. Like the oldest thing we got was like an E46 for like a recall. But I didn't really do too much work on anything like below like 2005 type BMWs. So hope this video helped. Hope this video maybe gave you some tips or tools that you should look into if you're looking to work at BMW. But yeah, that's about it for this episode, guys. I'll catch you guys later. Peace!